Hey there, guys. It's Ian here, and delighted to be with you today for a few minutes. Sons, daughters of the Most High God. How awesome is that? We are on Jesus's team. And what does that mean? Well, Jesus has made just one of each of us. Each of us is unique, and Jesus has a plan for each of our lives that is different for each one of us. And so it's important that we understand what that is and the things that Jesus calls us to do. Of course, Jesus really says there are two big things we should think about in our lives and try to do well at. Firstly, knowing him. So we are called to love our God, love Jesus. And to do that, we have to get to know him and spend time with him. And so that is the first and the greatest commandment, to love God. But he also says we're to love others and to love our neighbours as ourselves. Well, what does that mean? Well, Jesus says there is the Great Commission for all those that know him. And that is to go into all of the world and make disciples. And that can sound a bit scary, a little bit daunting, but it's actually quite an awesome thing. We simply have to follow the guidance that Jesus gives us. So Rojo, who herself is awesome and part of the amazing family of God, as you are, has asked me to share with you an example of how that's worked in my life. Well, several years ago, I was just going about my business, going about my daily life, and we had organised a week of prayer at the church, and so we were going along. And on this particular evening, it was all about laying down all the stuff we were doing and putting it to one side and then asking Jesus afresh, what should we do with our lives? Brilliant thing to do. Bit scary, but a brilliant thing to do. And then the very next day, I got a phone call from my boss at work asking if I would go out to a country called Singapore. It's a small country in Asia. If you get on a plane, you'd have to stay on the plane about 13 hours before you'd arrive. It's about 8,000 miles away, a place we'd never been. So I thought that was a bit strange. Should I go or should I not go? Lots to think about, lots to pray about. So the next day, having received the phone call from my boss, it was the next day of the week of prayer. So I went along, and lo and behold, there on the atlas in front of me was the country of Singapore. And so we tested and we explored whether this was indeed God's calling. And we concluded it was. There were many obstacles to us going, many things we had to arrange. But in the end, we went to Singapore and lived in Singapore for a number of years. A place that we'd, as I said, never been to before. How exciting. Well, while we're in Singapore, we did some travelling around to the different countries. And in one particular country, we met a fellow called Ling. And Ling was a tourist guide and took us around different places in Cambodia, showing us and teaching us about the history of that country, Cambodia. And he took us down to a big lake, and on the lake was a little village, and the village had a little school, and all the children from this village went to the school. But because they didn't have enough resources, no student had ever managed and been able to finish their education. And so this was a problem. They weren't getting the opportunities to learn and develop that we all enjoy here in the UK. And through the conversations we had with Ling, we got to know the people at the school, and we felt that God was asking us to help. We were fortunate in we had some extra resources that we had back in the UK, and we've been able to bring those to this school, this tiny village next to the lake, and as a result of that, for the last 3 years, the students have managed to graduate from the school, finish their courses, do their exams, get their qualifications. And so that's just an example of how God can use us. Sometimes it's unexpected, and he'll call us out to go somewhere, to do something that is the plan for our lives, that helps him do his work and bring his kingdom on earth. So I'd encourage you all, discover the things that God wants to do in your life and do them. It's a brilliant thing, and it's the way that Jesus works today, as he did when he first walked on the earth with his disciples, and they went about the business as well. We're part of the team, part of God's work here on earth. So God bless you, and enjoy the rest of your discussions. Bye for now.